Good morning, LinkedIn friends, Value First Nation. Welcome to another episode of Value First AI Daily, your collaborative intelligence report. It is Thursday, January 22nd, 2026. How we doing, Nico?
Doing very good, sir. Cannot complain. You know, just another day in Claude Code land. How about yourself?
Indeed. Indeed. Let me try something new in this format. I've been like the message of value first is resonating like so hard right now. Like whenever I'm in a conversation and the more like value first contributors we get going, like they're giving feedback about how much this is resonating. So for the next week and a half or so, I'm going to share some principles, some background of why we're even here, like doing value first AI specifically, just to kind of help. I'm realizing right now, if I'm not giving the why behind all of this, like it's just really easy to like just go way over the heads or think it's like, oh my God, that sounds great, Chris, but like I have no idea how we're gonna do that. So I'm gonna share my screen real quick and just hit on this first commitment um, of Value First AI. Should be no surprise. We talk about all of these commitments we've hit on several times throughout the series. But this commitment number one, we will use AI to enhance human capability, not substitute for it. We recognize that AI and humans excel at fundamentally different things. We will design systems where AI handles mechanical coordination while humans focus on creativity, judgment, and connection. Uh, and uh, a little bit of background on like value first and this first pillar. Like this is meant to be pillar number one on purpose. Um, uh, Even though I think at this point humans like and human capability is
Mhm.
what needs to like advance now. Like AI is at a place it's pretty good, folks. And if like the human capability is what needs to improve, which is why if you focus on AI to enhance that human capability, all of a sudden it's this nice loop that actually goes up instead of down. Um, but the value first AI pillar is counter to the AI replacement trap. And when I was building out value first, it was in response to just finished a series with George, Superhuman Framework. And I was like, man, it sounds so great. Common sense should be easy. But then you think about leaders and their inability to make common sense decisions because of the infrastructure of business, right? I don't know how I'm going to change sales compensation. It's too hard to focus on culture. We suck at communication. We don't do like all these things. So you literally see leaders and hear leaders like, yeah, I would love to do that. That makes so much sense. No idea how I can accomplish that. I don't even want to think about it. Sounds like crazy complex, would take us forever, right? So that's why, uh, like that framework, there's a bunch of frameworks that are focused on the humans, right? And like I said, in most times I would agree with the human being number one, that like, because there's a value first humans pillar too. But what I realized is that as long as the AI replacement conversation is dominating,
Mhm.
you can't get to where you need to be. Like if you start from a place of substituting for human value, you can't get to value first humans. Like you just can't do it. Right. And a great example of how nuanced this is before we got on, you were mentioning, and I've had similar thoughts of like, when was the last time I asked somebody like just a regular question, like general knowledge question.
Yeah.
And, last year I found myself like wanting to, like the gut or the instinct is, hey, let me go ask Nico or George, like this random thing. And then I'd stop myself, be like, oh, let me go. I could probably ask like Gemini that or something. Right. Like, and then I would, and then, yeah, it's fine. Right.
Right.
So it's like substituting, if we can substitute the let's call that administrative capability of humans, just to do like rote, like removing that creates space for the high value stuff.
Hmm.
So, and as long as we're still emailing each other, DMing each other, like doing it the old way, that time spent, that bandwidth cannot be used for the enhancement of the capability, cannot be used to create new capabilities.
Right.
So I'm curious, like when you brought that up, like, and you're kind of realizing in the moment, like, what's going through your mind as you there's some freedom there, right?
Yeah. I mean, when I think about it, I mean, we've talked about it before too, about the, what this means in terms of it's like independence for it's the independence of intelligence, right? So it's unleashing the same level of extremely high intelligence to everyone at the same time, right? And like so far, we don't have the ability. I mean, you can, I suppose, if you have your earbuds in and you want to burn your battery to death, but um, we almost have like a sustainable, realistic ability to just have a two-way conversation with these things. Once that hits, yeah, I don't know that I'll really ask anybody general knowledge questions. And when it hit, I knew like I knew that you might know the answer, but at the same time, what went through my head was, yeah, but and it wasn't like it's a weird thing because it's like, okay, am I partially insulting you by asking AI instead of asking you, right? Because especially when it comes to further down the road, right? Like professors in school. I don't know how many times, myself included, but I know many other people who, not in every subject, I am the worst person to pick for math in your entire life. But if you do want somebody to sit and talk philosophy, if you want somebody to sit and talk about science, if you want somebody to sit and talk about machine learning, yeah, I'm all about it. Uh, and for the most part, if I were to sit in a class related to that stuff, I think like three-quarters of the classes I sat in during high school, I was bored with because my mom, like I had already known more from my dad and my mom who were very well educated. And once your brain goes bored like that, you're just like, well, okay, what's the point of this resource? Like I'll just go
Yeah.
find my own stuff and be on my own. So it was like, okay, expanded. It's like, okay, well, what does that say for educators in general? And I guess what made me not go through with it was the fact that in my mind, I thought that somewhere in your response you would have said you could also just ask the AI, right? But I think what actually snapped in my head was, dude, you always tell people to go ask the model. What the fuck are you doing?
Right.
So it was almost like catching myself really. Um, and we were kind of talking about it before we started that uh I really it's tough for me to think about a time recently that I asked somebody a knowledge-based question like that I needed to know the answer and I didn't or didn't have a grasp of it or whatever. I can't remember the last time I asked a person.
Right.
Only because like knowing that this thing knows the answer, like even when
Well,
Google came out, right? Like I was a huge fan of it, a massive fan of it. And like even when when I first started working with my kids in high school and stuff, they would ask me tons and tons of questions. And it's like, just Google it. Please just Google it. Like all of this stuff exists. It's on the internet. You can
I
go find
mean,
it in seconds, right?
yeah, so
But that
egregious
was
that
like,
there was a special tool that you could do called "Let me Google that for you," and it would.
right.
Oh man, talk about snarky.
So yeah, I don't know. Like I don't I'm
Well, I
not
think
gonna be
that's
that guy that tells people like, why don't you just go ask AI? Right. But
Right. But we need you to just go ask AI. Like,
yeah, I'm like,
right.
it's
Well,
at
that's,
some point, right?
well, that's the, I mean, but it doesn't have to replace all the interaction, right? And this has been a
No.
challenge of software, I think, for a while. And I first became really, really acutely aware of the impact when it comes to like client portals and customer facing portals. Like when your job on the front lines of customer service or order management is constantly emailing like tracking numbers and order information and answering those questions about the order. The moment I tell you that let's make a portal where they can just do all that themselves, like that's my job. I'm supposed to take care of the customers, and that is taking care of customers, right? In the mind, that's the environment that's been created. When in reality, you'd ask those same people, or they would give you random ideas, like, "Man, it'd be cool if we could send like a really like personalized onboarding package, like to our new customers, and it would have this and this." They give you the whole spec, like without even realizing it. But then it's like, why haven't we done that yet? Oh, because I gotta send 100 fucking emails a day, like with these customer portal back and forths, right? That could be done, right? So substituting using technology, we've been doing this for a while, right? But if you don't offer that enhancement, like people are going to have they are having a hard time getting there. And that's where this is how I tie it back to value flow. Like it's not it's not that hard, right? Like I'm so gung ho about just value and value creation being like the ultimate first principle, because like when you think about it, the choice to ask a question of the human or the AI is so dependent on the current state of the conversation, right? Like,
Yeah.
and it, when you think about it like that, would it be more valuable to all involved for me to ask AI right now or to ask a human right now, right? And even in yesterday's conversation, I think when uh, George asked about like corporate ladder,
Mhm.
right? Like, and I pull up AI on the side and ask about it, and then I bring it into the conversation, right?
Yeah.
Versus ask you. It's like, and I think before we got on, you mentioned about like it's all about in the moment, right? Like what makes sense at this moment. And if
Right.
and if I'm not engaged in a conversation with George or Nico, like the value cost, like the cost of going out of my way to go into Slack and ask the question, and then have you guys go out of your way to come into Slack and answer the question. Meanwhile, the AI partner I'm probably already in a conversation with it. Like makes way more sense to just ask there, right? And as you start using AI every day, like I know people like as soon as they get activated, like it's pretty easy to make the switch, but then you have to
Yeah.
overcome this programming of usually would ask like my friends or known experts this question. So that's like it takes a minute to overcome that reaction, but it's it's getting pretty close to gone. But it doesn't mean I've stopped asking questions of the humans I work with.
Right.
It's just changed. Like again, we come back to context. What is the context of the situation? And AI now offers that always ready, um, context to step in and support and just remove so many friction points, right? So that I'm kind of forcing my schedule
Right.
in a way where it's like I can't think about tomorrow. I don't have time. Like I'm in today. Like if I'm not in today, I'm not serving the person or myself based on what my schedule requires right now. Right. And it's valuable things are happening because of that. But without those constraints, like thinking about the future, thinking about things that are uncertain, a lot of places where stuff like anxiety comes from, and just all these things are starting to like, melt away. And it's okay because on the call, during the content, value is being created and everybody agrees that we are doing a valuable activity.
Yeah.
So the concept of should I have spent that hour doing project work or creating more plans for things that we can talk about later, it's just not making any sense to me like anymore. Right.
Right.
So I'm learning a lot, and it forces you to think about AI and what you can do with it in a different way. And that's where, as long as you're working with it in a way that like just builds a little bit of context foundation continually, it gets exponential real damn quick.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And to your point about like activating people, and I know that we were just talking about the difference in like where you're working with these tools too, right? Um, it is interesting to watch this evolution of going from like I wouldn't even call it like a complicated graphic user interface, but it's just like the evolution of watching the people that we, not necessarily that we know, but like, yeah, the people that we work with, we spend time like playing around with AI with and stuff like that. And if you're on the value first, if you're, first of all, if you're not connected to value first, you should be. Because you should be in the value first Slack, because you are missing an ungodly amount of like insider AI news, insider AI tips and tricks. I mean, we share the stuff that you guys wish you could find out. Let's put it that, like, that's the easiest way I can put it. Like, I wish I had enough time to share it like everywhere, but I don't. So I just share it in the closest place that I can, which ends up being value first Slack. So definitely jump on board there, because I'm dead serious. You're missing out on so much. We were just talking about like multi-agent systems yesterday and like building out agent swarms. So the point I was getting at is like, in very short amount of time, just in less than a year, I would say, we went from using the web interface to then like Claude Desktop to then IDE, and then Claude Code within IDE, and then Claude Code in the CLI. And now it's like, well, CLI all day, every day. And we were just talking about the fact of like, yeah, my primary software now isn't even an LLM like platform per se. I just open the IDE. And like, why do I do that instead of like Claude or something like that? We were talking about how, sometimes the app itself, like Claude has these great features. One of them happens to be memory, where you would think that that's amazing. And I'm sure that it is for conversation. It sucks really bad for productivity, at least for me, because I always timeline move forward. And Claude Memory loves to pull up the past and try to apply the past to what we're doing in the present. Whereas when I'm working the IDE, it's always in the minute. Unless I tell it we need historical stuff, it's in the minute.
It's
And
easier to focus on context. Like
it's only
exact
looking at
context.
whatever's in the repo. Like it
Yeah.
unless you tell it to go outside and look at stuff, like it won't even, you have to tell it to go online to go look at stuff, right? Like, and then
Right.
even when you're building something out, so like right now, I'm going a step further than what we had yesterday. So here's a little snippet, right? In terms of like, why would I join value first? Yeah, right. So I'm just fooling around yesterday. And I think I talked to you guys like last week about that app, Stacks from
Yeah.
Google. Yeah. And so Stacks is this platform that from Google that lets you test out your prompts. You have to have a membership, right? You have to have a Claude membership or OpenAI membership, because you need your API key in order to plug it in order to use this thing. Still great platform anyway for testing prompts, really nicely set up. once I saw it, I was just like, well, this kind of sucks. Like, it sucks that you have to use this platform and you can't just use the model, or can you?
Yeah. Yeah.
So naturally turn around and go ask Claude, like, hey man, been working on these prompts for like the last hour. And can I just give you the raw data and you just test the prompts against the raw data and then let me know what works best? Yep, let me go to it. Right. And I'll say this much: it didn't work only because my data set was so massive. So what did I do? Went over to the good old IDE. Hey Claude, take a look at this data set. Let's work on it.
Yeah.
Why? Because the IDE will go forever. It doesn't give a shit. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't time out. It doesn't crap on you. It doesn't sit there and like, I mean, the amount of times that I think 3 conversations died trying to look at that data. Basically,
Hmm.
they would get to a point and then they just stop, and you try to reply, and it would just, it just exploded.
Yeah.
And then do it in the IDE, and it's like, yeah, okay, done in 20 minutes. And you're
Yeah.
watching it just autonomously go through and do this stuff. So and I was watching. I'm watching a lot of stuff from Davos, from Dario and Alex Karp and Demis Hassabis. And one thing that Alex Karp said, to your point earlier, was that one of the guys that he has leading one of his teams is a former police officer who only has like a community college degree and like doesn't have like experience with like defense stuff at all. Like, didn't have like government access to stuff, or military background, but he is utterly amazing at what he does. That skill that he has that Alex needed, this guy is amazing at. And he interviewed hundreds of people, and this guy took the cake. And what he said really floored me. Didn't floor me like in like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he said it. It was more like, oh man, I can't believe you said that on the world stage. He was just like, yeah, qualifications have changed. He's like, I don't know. He's like, I don't know that I will ever use traditional job qualifications ever again because they don't
Yeah.
mean anything to me.
Right.
He's like, the standard of measure for being qualified for something is just different with this technology, because there are people who can use it in a way that you couldn't possibly imagine, where other people who are building it are incapable of having seen that ability, and not capable of having seen like what it could possibly do.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Claude Desktop, or Claude Workspace, um, built in a week.
Cloud Cowork.
Claude Cowork,
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
built in a week.
Yeah.
1
I mean,
week.
that's the gratifying thing is like, and what Nico's referring to as far as the value first Slack. Like we've got this. I'm excited because I'm gonna put this stuff on display as much as I get. When I see stuff happening in the Slack, or I'm experiencing things in Cloud Code, like it's not hard to copy paste from Slack or say, all right, Claude, that was cool. Let's make a page on the website. Like I need other people to know what's happening, right? And we've got this really awesome inner loop, like cycling and speeding up. Like I just started content with Erin Wiggers yesterday, and she's bringing in stuff, and like it's about to explode. And it's really hard to, like, to your point, like of what that guy was saying about qualifications, like that's that's what I'm up to over here in terms of recruiting, like domain expertise plus creativity. Like that's the like, and so the really only qualification there is creativity, and like have you been around? Like have you been doing stuff for a number of years to where I don't even care what your domain expertise is. Like you're going to have something somewhere. Can you articulate it or communicate it? That's probably the other like qualification needed, because if you can't, it's going to be hard to unlock that, right? Um but that creativity, that curiosity, like on top of that, like that's it, right? And again, that's why we're here every day. We need to wrap for today. But yeah, we'd love to have you. So feel free to reach out if you're interested and you're picking up what we're putting down. And until tomorrow morning, man. See you, Nico.
See you guys.